Production of Kansas City Week in Review is made possible through the generous support of Dave and Jamie Cummings, Smithfield Foods, Haas and Wilkerson Insurance, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Coming up, some major new twists and turns over the future of KCI. Kobach makes it official. More controversy in the Shawnee Mission School District, this time over guns. What was once the most controversial building in Johnson County, now transformed, we take you inside. Plus, inside Moran's raucous town hall. Will the shooting at a congressional baseball practice have a chilling effect on how local congressional leaders engage with the public? Hello, I'm Nick Haynes. Those stories and more straight ahead. It's good to be back with you after a brief break to make room for our KCPT membership drive. So this week, you've got 3 weeks in review for the price of one, but up to the challenge, the Kansas City Star's chief political correspondent, Brian Lowry, who winds his way between Topeka and Jefferson City, keeping an eye on the news in Johnson County, Jay Center, editor and publisher of the Shawnee Mission Post, from the editorial pages of your Kansas City Star, Dave Helling, and reporting for The Pitch and for Kansas City's NPR affiliate KCUR, Barbara Shelley. Now, since we last gathered around this table, almost everything has changed in the debate over the future of KCI. Here's a quick checklist of the changes. This week, City Hall agrees to give more time to companies interested in bidding on the $1 billion project. The deadline for proposals was set for next Tuesday. Now it's extended to the last week of July. City Hall already reversed course on plans to give local engineering firm Burns & McDonnell an exclusive right to build and finance the new airport terminal. Now, not only is any company allowed to bid, the council will soon debate an ordinance calling for a public financing option, bypassing private companies entirely. So why has the city backtracked on almost every major decision involving the future of KCI in such a short period of time, Dave?
Well, a couple of reasons, Nick. First, public pressure. I think the public was quite concerned about the idea that Burns and Mac would be rushed through without any real scrutiny from the public or interested parties or anyone else. But part of it is legal. Once you get a second bidder, potential bidder on a project of any size, but particularly one this big, there starts to be a legal problem if it appears you favor one bidder or another, both under city ordinances and a bunch of other statutes. The lawyers, the outside counsel talking with the city council, in essence told them that you're going too fast, that you have to give a fair opportunity to these other groups, and you need to redo your request for proposals, which is what happened. One other note, it's very important that the city will consider a public funding option. The Burns and Mac plan was, in essence, we'll borrow the money for you, but there was no real scrutiny over whether that was the best way to obtain the funding for the new terminal. And so there will be a discussion of some public alternative to the private financing.
City Councilwoman Teresa Law has been the most outspoken critic of the city's plans to upgrade KCI. She joined with fellow Northland Councilman Dan Fowler for a town hall last week, whereas you're about to see there's still plenty of dissatisfaction with the process.
So folks, what you've been told about this single terminal, I don't believe hardly any of it.
It smells a little bit like a predetermined outcome.
And it's really hard for me to believe that we just can't renovate what we have more cheaply than building a new, less convenient single terminal.
Now, one repeated question brought up at that town hall: if the airlines want room to expand, how will a single terminal with only 35 gates be better than the 90 gates we currently have available? Has the city provided a satisfactory answer to that question, Barbara?
Well, I think we've had a lot of hearings on this now. I mean, this process has gone on over a number of years. And, I believe that the answer has to do with not only the number of the gates, but where they are located, the configuration, what the airlines want, things like that.
Is there a concern at this point that with all of the changes that have taken place, that there may not even be a vote at this point in time in November?
Well, you can hear voices, Nick, that say, no, let's wait until April, that it's just so many people are opposed to a new terminal that we need some time to educate the public. But the airlines are telling the city council, look, we need to get off the dime on this thing, in part because whatever we do out there is going to take 2 or 3 years to design and build, maybe longer. Now you're pushing the timetable back to 2023 before it opens, 2024. And we've tried to say editorially that, look, the arguments, as Barb points out, we've been talking about this for a decade. So the decision between renovation and a new terminal should be pretty easy for the public to make. We're arguing over process and cost, but the fundamental decision, do we want to build a new terminal, is pretty clearly understood by most voters, and November seems like a good time to do it.
And whatever happened to that proposal from Sam Brownback to build the airport in Kansas, Brian?
As far as I know, that was just a trial balloon, and not much progress has gone with that. I mean, Kansas just got its finances straightened out this last week, so I don't know that it wants to rush into building.
Jay, was there excitement over that in Johnson County?
About the prospect of moving to Johnson County, I'm sure. I mean, the current location of the airport, it's essentially in Leavenworth. You know, it's quite a hike for most Johnson County residents. But the idea that Kansas, with its current financial situation, is going to be able to put a credible plan together to be the metro airport.
Can I say very quickly, Nick, one thing the Kansas option did do, I think, was move Sam Graves off a dime. Graves has opposed a new airport out at Kansas City International for 15 years, longer than that, perhaps. But the thought of the airport moving to Kansas, even if it was a very remote possibility, and in essence wiping out his constituents who worked there, was just too much. He's actually moved quite a bit toward a new terminal.
Kansas lawmakers finally come home this week to rejoin their families after a tumultuous session, which they boosted hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for schools and managed to balance the budget, but at a cost: income tax hikes. A married couple filing jointly and earning $30,000 will pay an additional $120 starting next year. The same couple earning $100,000 will fork over $755 more. More than half of the Republicans in both houses voted for the increases, which also eliminated the so-called LLC loophole, a tax exemption to $330,000 limited liability companies. But I thought taxes were a dirty word. When every branch of government in Kansas is controlled by Republicans, how did this manage to pass, Brian?
Well, first I'd say I've been covering Kansas politics since January of 2014, and I cannot think of a more consequential week in Kansas politics than last week. And I think a lot of the national stories on this have missed that this was a bipartisan effort. Right? Republicans could not pass a tax plan on their own because moderates and conservatives could not get on the same page about a tax plan. Democrats obviously lacked the number of votes to pass a tax plan on their own. So moderates and Democrats teamed up to pass a tax plan. That said, they still lacked the votes to override the governor until, in my opinion, a fateful meeting that the governor had with the Speaker of the House, the Majority Leader, and a couple other conservative lawmakers, a few moderates, in which, according to the people who attended that meeting and spoke to the Star, Brownback basically told them that it would be politically better for him if they just overrode him. And so I think that
gave him an out? Yes.
I think that was the moment that they realized that, okay, we're never going to get a plan together that the governor will sign. We do need to partner with the Democrats on this. So if you look at who voted to override, you have Democrats almost uniformly voted for the tax increase, moderate Republicans uniformly voted, and then you have a very small group of conservative Republicans who really didn't want to vote for that, but bit the bullet to make sure that you could keep funding Kansas government.
So what happens? Politics is a cyclical affair. So do we now see, because of this tax vote, we'll see more conservatives now going into the legislature the next cycle, which is really just 2 years away?
Well, I mean, whether that's how it pans out or not, who's to say? We'll have to wait till the next election cycle. But there's almost no doubt that you're going to see conservative would-be legislators lining up to have a go at the Republicans who voted in favor of the tax increase. When Chris Kobach made his announcement for governor last week, he made the fact that Republicans had voted for a tax increase a major part of what he did. It's going to be a big issue in the next cycle.
Barbara.
Well, I think those people that are targeted will have to find a way to make the point that Kansas has been raising taxes all along since the great Brownback experiment began. They've raised sales taxes, they've raised other kinds of taxes. Now they're just going back to the income tax leg.
Yeah, the other thing that they're going to have to do is, in essence, the conservatives are going to have to say, well, I'd go in then and cut the taxes back to where they used to be. to which one would respond, do you want to just put us right back in the same mess we've been in for the last 5 years? So it's a tougher argument to make than just simply he raised or she raised, voted to raise taxes. Now, having said that, in 2015 and 2017, the total tax increase is just mind-boggling in Kansas, and really represents, as Brian suggests, a sea change in Kansas politics.
And the truth is that Kansas finances, well, they're going to be stabilized for the next 18 months or so.
Yeah,
they still didn't go as far as some people would have liked, and you really could see Kansas facing another tough decision over, do we raise taxes, do we cut the budget in just 2 years?
Now, as Jay mentioned, upset that Kansas lawmakers raise taxes on what he calls hardworking Kansans, Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach makes it official. He's running for governor.
At its core, his values are the same as every Kansan. True to his word, authentic, determined. Sure, sometimes he may shake things up a bit, but isn't that just what Topeka needs?
Two other Republicans have already announced their candidacy, Wichita oil magnate Wink Hartman and former state lawmaker Ed O'Malley. But what does Chris Kobach bring to this race that the others don't? Is it name recognition?
Name recognition is definitely a big deal. Kobach is the only one of these candidates who not only has a statewide profile, has a national profile. There is now national interest in this Kansas governor's race. You have Kobach is serving as the vice chair of President Trump's voter commission. So there's a lot of national attention in this race. One thing Kobach's doing, he's running on an issue that he's ran on for years, which is illegal immigration. But the new twist, he's joining the illegal immigration issue with the taxation issue. That was one message that he argued at his kickoff event, was the reason your taxes are high is because we're spending too much money on public services for illegal immigrants.
Well, that's the difference between him and at least the two gentlemen who have been in the race already, Ed O'Malley and Wink Hartman, is that Kobach's willing to kind of scapegoat immigrants to boost his governor's campaign.
Jay.
Well, and I think there's a contingent of moderate Republicans in Johnson County and the Kansas City area who hear Chris Kobach's name and think there's no way that this guy is going to be palatable, governor's race. I mean, he's just too extreme. His visions are too extreme. He has been a proven winner as a statewide candidate as Secretary of State. I mean, he blew through his last re-election bid.
What happened to Kevin Yoder? Now, he was suggested as somebody who would be interested in a race for governor, and we hear in the Star this week that he's not going to run for governor.
Not that he's not, definitely not going to run, but he right now is much more focused on another run for Congress, and obviously he has some candidates coming out of the woodwork to challenge him. But I've been told by people, there definitely has been an effort to recruit him into the governor's race, but he still remains much more focused on the congressional race. I'd say it's highly unlikely that he runs. There are going to probably be options for, and some Republicans who are a little bit queasy about Kobach as the nominee are already scrambling to find their other options. And I think one guy to keep an eye on is the insurance commissioner, Ken Selzer, who was being floated as a possible person to run for Yoder's seat if he went for Congress. So if Yoder stays in the congressional race, you could see Selzer wind up in the race for governor and kind of frame himself as the consensus candidate, whereas Kobach is the kind of hard right-wing candidate.
Jay, we saw another Democrat come forward this week to run against Yoder. Leawood attorney Andrea Ramsey jumps into the race. But how does this change the equation? I mean, we've heard before the concerns that we don't have formidable Democrats running against Kevin Yoder.
The really interesting thing was there was a formidable candidate on paper, a guy named Joe McConnell, who was an Iraq vet, Princeton grad, MBA from Stanford, works for LinkedIn, had a great resume. As soon as Andrea Ramsey announced she was running, he announced he was stepping back. I think it's probably symptomatic of the Democratic Party wanting to get all of its resources behind a strong, credible candidate. Andrea Ramsey's got a good resume as well.
Now, Missouri lawmakers began their second special session this week. Governor Eric Greitens called state legislators back to Jefferson City to consider protections for religious organizations opposed to abortion and to take up new regulations for abortion providers. The session begins just a couple of weeks after he called another special session on jobs. So why couldn't these issues have been dealt with in that session? Why the need for a second one, Dave?
Well, because Eric Greitens wants to be president of the United States, and so he wants to make sure his name is attached with this issue as publicly as possible. There's absolutely no real need for this special session. They could have dealt with this during the regular session, and since they didn't, they should have gone home and waited for a year like they do on most other legislation. There's a little bit of an anti-St. Louis vibe to the special session because it involves an ordinance on the city books there and abortion. And the effort for the regulations of abortion in the state, but it's a very political move, not very much based on merits.
So what is the argument for having the session then, Brian?
Well, I mean, I think Dave is right that it is kind
I
of
didn't see that
theater.
in any of the governor's communications about this session.
Right. I mean, if you have the special session, and you make it focused on one topic, you can ensure that that's what the legislators are going to work on. It puts much more political pressure. That said, one thing Missourians need to question is, well, why didn't the governor expend political capital on this during the regular session? Is this the best use of resources? But, I mean, he can keep them focused on this. He's had his rallies, and there is now pressure on lawmakers. This also might not be the last special session.
Or there could be more.
Barbara.
Well, and I just know there's people asking, you know, this is so important to you. You know, what about all the people that are lacking health care in Missouri? What about the dismal health outcomes in certain areas of Missouri? There's counties in Missouri where life expectancy is actually going downward. You know, why isn't the governor focusing on something like that?
Well, there are 6 months left of this year, so we could have still more special sessions on
opioid crisis,
those
Medicaid expansion, ethics reform, just go down the list.
And there may be an opioid-related session at some point that's been floated. I will say Kobach actually at his kickoff event praised Greitens for doing these special sessions. So if Kobach becomes governor of Kansas, you could see Kansas doing the same thing.
Well, this week, Kansas United States Senator Jerry Moran hosts a town hall meeting in Johnson County as confronted with a testy crowd of 500 alarmed over proposed health care changes.
We don't have the ability within ourselves to make certain that every Kansan, every American has health care. There's way too many.
In light of the shooting this week at a congressional baseball practice, are we less likely now to see members of our local congressional delegation put themselves in these situations where they would be meeting with potentially large groups of angry citizens? Jay?
Well, Kevin Yoder and Pat Roberts don't do them in Johnson County now, so it's unlikely that the shooting is going to have much of an impact on their willingness to do that. I will say, you know, watching Jerry Moran at this town hall, you get a sense that is actually one of his political skills, is really being able to manage an angry crowd like that.
Do you think it has a chilling effect at all, Barbara?
Well, I think it might. I can tell you, I was at a town hall for Kevin Yoder that Kevin Yoder didn't attend. And there was an incident there where somebody got up who may have been intoxicated but was clearly very angry and came to the microphone. And it was a little scary because there's no security at all in this kind of forum. It was just called by citizens. So, yeah, possibly.
Dave?
Yeah, actually, Kevin Yoder did once hold town halls back in 2010, 2011. I remember covering one out in Olathe with a lot of angry voices. I mean, some of it is theater now. People, expect to yell at some of these gatherings. But I don't think, even if you may add additional security at, say, a town hall event or some sort of public meeting, but the idea of providing permanent protection for members of the House or the Senate probably seems a little aggressive. Claire McCaskill has had town halls. We should point out that Emanuel Cleaver doesn't like them either. He doesn't hold them either, in part because of the security concerns. So it really is up to the members how they approach this.
Brian?
Well, I'd say both McCaskill in Missouri and Moran in Kansas really do pride themselves on holding town halls. Moran has held town halls all over the state, and he's had these in front of angry crowds. Milton Wolfe even angrily confronted him at a town hall a few years ago. But that said, Yoder has really favored, and a couple other lawmakers in both states have favored these telephone town halls, these things that simulate a town hall where you are, but you can't actually have any confrontations with angry citizens that go on the evening
But
news.
even in the live town halls, and you were there, I mean, is there a sense that people are actually listening to one another and learning something along the way, or do people already have all of their talking points on both sides, the elected official and the members of the public?
Well, the members of the public, I mean, Indivisible KC was very, very much involved in getting this event organized and getting 500 people to show up on a 7:30 a.m. on a Monday or whatever. I mean, it was an impressive crowd. But Jerry Moran, I think again, he is able to compose himself in a way he doesn't come off as defensive, and he at least makes people feel like he is hearing them out, whether he's listening or not.
I don't think a lot of minds were changed out there Monday, but it is a good opportunity for quick-witted, intelligent people to sort of hold the member to a standard. And at one point, Jerry Moran said, in essence, well, I sure would wish we'd have hearings on this bill. I don't like this thing doing it in secret, but it's not my choice. And somebody stood up and said, well, vote no until you get those hearings. That's a pretty smart thing to say. And it put Moran in a tough spot. He's a bit on the record, so it has a value in that direction, it seems to me.
Well, raised eyebrows in Shawnee Mission this week as it's disclosed that the school district bought semi-automatic weapons for its school resource officers. The 8 Smith & Wesson semi-automatic assault rifles cost the district nearly $5,500 or more than $5,500. No other school district in this area, we understand, is buying semi-automatics for their schools. So why did the Shawnee Mission School District feel they needed them, Jay?
Well, John Douglas, the former Overland Park police chief who has been running safety and security for Shawnee Mission for the past 3 or 4 years, basically felt that his officers, the officers that are employed by the school district, needed to have the firepower that they might be likely to encounter in the very unlikely event of a school shooting. As we saw in Alexandria this week, these semi-automatic long guns are a weapon of choice for people trying to enact a mass shooting. He basically said it's a tactical argument. If you have a handgun, you cannot shoot accurately for more than 25 feet. In the event of an active shooter situation, we would want them to be able to shoot accurately a long distance. But it's only 8 guns across 40 schools, so the calculus there doesn't really add up.
Yeah, and I think whether you agree or disagree with the purchase itself, I think there seems to be a transparency problem with it that people are only now finding out, and this purchase was done several years ago.
Yeah, so this was, we love this because we have the reporters around the table. This was a story. It's causing indignation, eyebrows raised, parents angry. Yeah. But yet the purchase was made 2 years ago. So why is it only now coming to light then, Jay?
Well, it's only coming to light now because it was circulating as a rumor in the district for the past 8 or 9 months. And the rumor was that the district had spent $50,000 or $60,000 on these guns, and there were more guns and things like that. So to Barb's point, I mean, it is a transparency issue. I mean, it was a controversial purchase. A lot of parents think, hey, why are we weaponizing our schools? The fact that the district did not, in any public setting, disclose that they were taking this step is why it's blown up now.
And the lack of transparency, you think about some of the other controversies that Shawnee Mission has had in recent weeks, including one where they wanted to restrict what people could say at school board meetings when parents came in upset. I think this is part of a broader cultural problem with the administration in Shawnee Mission.
It was called the most controversial building in Johnson County, the King Louis Bowling Alley, which the county purchased 6 years ago with plans at one point to turn it into a national museum of suburbia, was considered a massive waste of taxpayer dollars. Well, now the building has finally been transformed, as KCPT's Evany Bing reports. It reopened this week with a new mission.
For years, it was the King Louis Bowling Alley. Now it's the newest home of the Johnson County Arts and Heritage Center.
It's been here for decades, and we're just so excited about what the future has to bring. It's an iconic building in our community. Googie architecture was very famous back in the 1960s, so we wanted to preserve that accordion-style roof.
We have 3 major exhibit galleries here at the New Arts and Heritage Center. One is a large exhibit where the Electric House is, and that is our signature exhibit called Becoming Johnson County. In addition to that, we have our Children's Gallery, and it's about 3,500 square feet of environments and role-playing, completely interactive experiences for kids to explore our county's history.
The whole building is so flexible. It's really, really cool.
The new Johnson County Arts and Heritage Center will also be home for the very first time of indoor shows for Theater in the Park Productions.
The whole door is open for us to produce year-round. We'll be able to do shows inside in the non-summer months. We used to find places all over Kansas City for rehearsals, and now all of our shows can rehearse in this one building.
You know, there was quite a few objections from residents to the $25 million price tag county leaders paid to purchase and then renovate this old building. But has this transformation quashed that criticism, Jay?
Probably not for the people who really don't like the idea of the government spending that much money. But I have to say, I mean, on Saturday during the grand opening event, the energy and enthusiasm in the community was pretty palpable.
You remember all of that criticism when the county purchased it, Dave.
Right, and I think some of it was valid. I mean, I do think there was, they purchased the building in part to sort of search for a way to use it rather than, and to preserve it, let's be clear, because of the unique nature of the facility. But, you know, it's an amenity for a community. At least Johnson Countyans are paying for it themselves and not relying on Kansas City, Missourians to provide their enjoyment and entertainment. I used to go bowling in that bowling alley, by the way, and so we've got to figure another place to.
What was your best game score?
I think if I made it into the triple digits, it would have been a miracle.
It was also an ice skating rink, but Dave didn't say he went ice skating.
I did not go ice skating.
Now, the first election on expanding the Kansas City streetcar from Union Station down to UMKC will involve fewer than 5,800 voters. That's how many people applied for ballots. Election authorities estimate that 30,000 registered voters live within the proposed transportation taxing district. So if everyone who qualified for a ballot actually votes, the turnout would be about 19%. But Dave, that's less than 3% of the entire registered voters in Kansas City, Missouri, but they don't have a say, right?
Right, at least for now. Now, there is an August ballot measure that would expand the universe of people who can vote on future streetcar projects. But in this case, as we've discussed, it's a special district that votes to tax itself, in essence, to expand the streetcar. We'll see what they have to say.
And no efforts underway at this moment in time, Jay, to move the streetcar so it crosses the state line into Johnson County?
Nobody's told me about it.
That's what all of
it will go to the airport in Johnson County.
Right. Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, there is the feeling that this is really only a small part of what it could potentially be, and it requires these other cities, other communities like KCK and Johnson County getting engaged in this, Barbara.
I don't think so. I don't think they're getting engaged in the streetcar.
No, but I think, Nick, you do have a quick point. The Area Transportation Authority is very ambitious, and they're talking about trying to bring not just streetcar, but sort of an integrated mass transit system to the entire metropolitan area, more integrated than it is now. The streetcar would play a role in that, and something we need to pay attention to.
And I will say, I actually got a phone call from a reader to complain about there's a secret election going on. And I was like, and I explained to her it's not a secret election, the Star has reported on it, but there is something about these mail-in elections that not everybody always feels like they get to participate in the same way. It's tougher to hear about, and if you don't live in the exact right zip code, you don't get to cast your ballot.
And that is our Week in Review. Our thanks to our news reviewers, Barbara Shelley and Jay Center, and from the pages of the Star, Brian Lowry and Dave Helling. I'm Nick Haynes. From all of us at KCPT, thanks for spending part of your weekend with us.